Today we're talking about Morbius, Jared Leto's Sony/Marvel superhero movie that apparently holds the record for most delays of all time for any film in history. Dr. Michael Morbius, born with a rare blood disease, tries to cure himself using his own experiments, but inadvertently gets infected with vampirism in the process. I think one thing has become abundantly clear ever since Sony announced they were making their own Spider-Man universe with movies like Venom and now Morbius. Critics absolutely hate everything having to do with this universe. The Venom movies did not do that great with critics, and Morbius so far is holding under a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, people hate these movies, and it's not just critics. Audiences don't seem too enthusiastic with Morbius either. But one thing I do know is that Morbius is getting panned by so many people because it got delayed as many times as it did, and for whatever reason, whenever a superhero movie or just a movie in general gets delayed time and time again, people give the movie so much crap. Just look at the New Mutants. That movie did terrible with everybody. Same goes for Morbius. There's just something about these movies that people hate. My thought is that people were hyped about the films when they were originally supposed to be released 2 years ago. Then 2 years passes by and people are no longer interested in seeing the movies anymore. So then what do? Oh yeah, they crap on the movies. I'm curious if this will be the case for Top Gun Maverick 2. That movie was supposed to come out in summer 2020. Now it's coming out this May. I don't think it's going to be bad, but who knows what critics will think and audiences. Anyway, is Morbius a bad movie like everyone is saying? Well, it's not good. It is kind of bad, but it's not atrocious. It's not one of the worst movies I've ever seen. One of my favorite aspects of the movie is Jared Leto, who I think does a solid job as Michael Morbius. I definitely buy him as this doctor who has a rare blood disease. He sells me on that role, but it's really impressive too how in the beginning of the film, he's very frail, super skinny looking, and then once he gets his powers, the dude is jacked. I'm not sure if he was actually that skinny. Look at Joaquin Phoenix. He lost all that weight for the movie Joker. Not sure if the same thing happened to Jared Leto for this role. But if that's the case, if he went from underweight to jacked in the middle of this filming, that is extremely impressive. And the first 30 minutes were actually kind of good. I was surprised sitting there. I thought the entire movie from beginning to end was going to be terrible. But the first 30 minutes were not only entertaining, but very informative about a rare blood disease. Plus, the characters were characters I cared about. The movie gives us concrete reasons to root for the characters, and the story was relatively good as well. Seeing the sick doctor do anything in his power to come up with a cure for this rare blood disease was inspirational because he was not only doing it for himself, but his friends and other sick children with the same disease. I loved all of that in the first 30 minutes. It's a shame, though, that the rest of Morbius could not live up to the hype of the first 30 minutes. It goes off the rails quickly, and the final act in particular is an absolute disaster. Now, Morbius has a great cast. I love everyone in this film, including the villain, who I don't think the trailers ever reveal, so for the sake of not having any spoilers in this video, I won't say who it is, but the villain in this movie, while I enjoyed their performance and found it hysterical, they do this villain so poorly. The movie's villain is completely rushed, and their turn comes out of nowhere. In the early stages of Morbius, you see this character and you think to yourself, there's no way this person could ever do anything bad. They wouldn't even harm a fly, and then all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, they're committing these heinous crimes, killing people, doing some of the most evil things you'll ever see a person do. It makes zero sense, especially when you look back at the character in the beginning of the movie. I want to mention too that sure, the film is brutal with its action. There are some scenes that push the envelope. It's a little too much for those younger audiences, but the film definitely should have been rated R because they edit so much around the violence and they turn all the blood black just so they can keep that PG-13 rating, and I hate that kind of stuff. But it wasn't just the PG-13 rating or villain that ticked me off while watching Morbius. Some of the worst aspects of Morbius were the acting and directing, both of which felt uninspired. Outside of Matt Smith and Jared Leto, the only two good performances, everyone else is flat in the film, and the directing, my God, there are some takes in this movie that I could not believe actually made the final cut. It makes no sense. Just go back and do another take. You had 2 extra years to clean up everything that felt unnatural and all the bad dialogue. Why didn't you take that time to clean up this mess? So Morbius is an unintentionally hilarious superhero movie. It has a solid performance by Jared Leto. The first 30 minutes are somehow good. The rest of the movie, though, is awful. It is so bad. I don't think I could ever watch this one again. I almost fell asleep, especially towards the end. I'm giving Morbius a 40%. I also want to point out that Morbius doesn't have a plot. If you really think about it, there's no goal for the main characters at the end of the film. They just run around and do things, and one of them has to stop the other from committing more crimes, and that's pretty much it. There's no end goal for either main character, hero, or villain. It's just a string of scenes that I guess they thought would look good in the final cut, but boy oh boy, it did not. But of course, guys, if you also happen to see Morbius over the weekend, be sure to let me know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are of it. And as always, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.